What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC 225. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Mike Santiago versus Dan Ige. And to me, I think Mike Santiago has a big advantage in the striking, but I think that Dan Ige has a big advantage in the grappling. And I think we just saw in Mike Santiago's last fight that he has a hard time stopping really strong wrestlers. If he can't keep it on the feet, he'll probably win, but I just don't see it happening. I think Dan Ige is going to hit the takedowns and eventually probably work his way to the back and win by rear naked choke, probably in the second round. Next, we got Clay Guida versus Charles Oliveira, and this is a really tough fight for Clay Guida. It's a little surprising. This is his third fight in a row fighting like one of these really great jiu-jitsu guys. That's always been kind of his Achilles heel because he's so exciting. It's like a double-edged sword. When you throw a lot of ground and pound like he does, you open yourself up for a lot of submissions. I think that this is a tough fight, but I think he will win it. I feel like we've seen Charles Oliveira. He's always been super hittable, and his chin's not that great. And he's taking this fight on super short notice, and I know he always has to cut a lot of weight, even for lightweight. I think that Clay Guida has been looking really great recently, and his last two wins, like I said, were over good jiu-jitsu guys. I think he's been looking really fast since he moved back up to lightweight. I think he hasn't cut as much weight, and as long as he can keep it on the feet, I actually think he might be able to knock him out like he did Joe Lozon. Like I said, his striking has been looking better, as long as he doesn't mess around too much on the ground with Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira took this fight on like 2 weeks' notice, so I don't know what his conditioning is going to be looking like either. So I'm leaning towards Clay Guida. I think he wins by knockout or TKO in the first or second round. Next, we got Joseph Benavidez versus Sergio Pettis, and this fight should be on like either the main card or the prelim card, not the fucking Fight Pass prelim card. It just pisses me off because there's fights like Rashad Coulter, which is like a nobody heavyweight who's 0-2, and CM Punk versus Mike Jackson are both 0-1 in the UFC and 0-1 their career. Like, I hate that stuff. I personally do. Just saying. I don't know why Sergio Pettis took this fight. This fight's not going to be any different than the Henry Cejudo fight. I feel like Sergio's not going to be able to stop Benavidez from taking him down, and he's not going to be able to get back up. I think the same thing is going to happen all 3 rounds, just like when he fought Sergio Pettis. I mean, just like when he fought Henry Cejudo, except for maybe Benavidez gets a submission because he's better at fighting on the ground than Cejudo is. Cejudo's just good at holding people there, but Benavidez can actually throw ground and pound and hunt for submission. So I think Benavidez wins in either an easy decision or like a late 3rd round submission. And finally, we got Rashad Evans versus Anthony Smith for the prelim card, I mean. I like Anthony Smith. I definitely think he's closer to his prime than Rashad is. I think Rashad is close to the very end of his career, but I do think that this is a horrible matchup for Anthony Smith. We've seen his takedown defense isn't that amazing. I think that at 205 especially, Rashad's not going to have any problems with his gas tank or anything like that, and I think Rashad's just going to hit takedowns whenever he wants on this guy, in all honesty. I really want Anthony Smith to win just because I feel like Rashad's probably going to retire after this fight, most likely. And Anthony Smith might just get cut because he's lost, like, his last fight. Like I said, Smith's got the much better striking, and he's got decent jiu-jitsu, but he's not going to submit Rashad Evans, and I don't think he's going to be able to stop the takedowns. And because of that, I think Rashad's just going to win an easy decision here. Onto the prelim card on Fox Sports 1, it's Rashad Coulter versus Chris De La Rocha. De La Rocha's a last-minute replacement. He just took this fight like a few days ago. Both these guys are 0-2 in the UFC. They both have 2 losses by knockout, but I think Rashad's just a lot better. I think his wrestling is a lot better, and I think he has just a better MMA record overall. He's like 8-2 versus Chris De La Rocha's 4-2. So I think his overall MMA experience and wrestling experience is going to get him the win, and he isn't taking this fight on short notice. So I'm going to pick Rashad Coulter. I say he wins by knockout, probably in the first or second round. Next, we got Ricardo Lamas versus Bersad Bektic. And this depends entirely on like how much Ricardo has left, because he probably should win this fight, but I feel like Bersad is on the upswing here. I feel like, he lost to Darren Elkins, but I feel like he just got caught. He was dominating that whole fight before he got caught with the head kick. And, same thing with Ricardo. Ricardo was winning that fight against Josh Emmett before he got caught, but it's really just like whose striking is a little bit better and who's more on point. I think these guys are probably even everywhere, striking, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. But I'm going to lean towards Bersad. I just feel like he's coming up and Ricardo is kind of coming down. This is how I see it. Either way, I'm leaning towards Bersad. I say he wins either by decision or maybe a late knockout in like the 3rd round. Next, we got Claudia Gadelha versus Carla Esparza. And to me, like, people are kind of hitting on Claudia because she kind of lost her last fight. But to me, I feel like what's-her-face can just put such a crazy pace on people that most people can't keep up with it. I don't think Carla can put that pace on Claudia. I don't think she's going to be able to hit the takedowns the way, I can't remember her name, but everyone knows who I'm talking about, that Brazilian chick who's really good at wrestling and striking. I think Claudia's just going to be able to stuff the takedowns and outstrike Carla on the feet, in all honesty. I don't think Carla has the power wrestling to get her down repeatedly. I think Claudia will be able to continuously stuff the takedowns and just outstrike her on the feet, and that's just how I see this fight happening. So I got Claudia winning a 30-27 decision. Finally, we got Alistair Overeem versus Curtis Blaydes, which again should be like the fucking third fight on the main card, but it is what it is. This fight's really interesting. I think the longer this goes, the better chance Curtis Blaydes has of winning, but Curtis Blaydes is so hittable. It's really crazy. Like, if he didn't have as good of a chin as he did, he would have a much shittier record, because I feel like in almost every one of his fights, he gets caught with something big and almost knocked out. I don't think that's going to work against Alistair Overeem. I think Alistair Overeem is the hardest fighting person he's hit, and I think Alistair will be able to catch him with something big and just knock him out in one shot. Like, he has that type of power more than anyone that Curtis has fought, in my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think... Alistair Overeem's takedown defense is amazing, and people don't talk about it enough. I mean, Curtis could just wear him out by, like, clinching with him and hitting him with uppercuts and stuff. But Alistair's got great knees in the clinch, too. Like, we saw that with Mark Hunt when he knocked him out with that knee. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think Alistair's just going to avoid the ground and eventually land a huge shot and win by KO. And that's what I see happening. Alistair winning by either first or second round knockout. Whenever he finds that range and lands that big shot, I think he's just going to one and done him with something big. Next, we got CM Punk versus Mike Jackson. And like I said, this is literally the shittiest fight in the whole card. Both these guys are 0-1 in their MMA career. I'm going to go with CM Punk just because I feel like this fight exists solely for him to win. I don't know anything about either of these guys' skills because both of their fights ended in like a minute and they got submitted. Like, this fight literally could go either way. Don't bet your money on it if you're planning on betting. But yeah, I'm going to go with CM Punk. I say he wins by decision. Next, we got Andrei Arlovski versus Tai Sumov. And this fight's super close. It's kind of like youth versus experience, and it's kind of just like a lot of Andrei Arlovski's fights, I think. It's just who's going to land that big shot first. This could be a lot like the Junior Albini fight. I think Andre, if he can keep the distance, could probably outlast Tai, because Tai has lost decisions in boxing. I think the longer this goes, it does favor Andre, but I just feel like it's going to end in the first, because the way Tai fights is he just rushes at people. I don't know. I just feel like this fight might go longer than one round, and because of that, I'm leaning towards Andre. I think he might lose the first, but then come back and win the second and third, and probably win a 29-28 decision. I also think Andre has an advantage on the ground, and he's been using his grappling a little bit more, but like I said, Tai could win the first round because he likes to go out there and blitz people, but I think the longer this goes, the better Andre has a winning, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think Andre wins by decision. Next, we got Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson, and Megan Anderson's a big chick, but she hasn't fought in like 3 years or something like that. And I just feel like Holly Holm's a better striker overall. And because of that, I'm just leaning towards Holly Holm. This is at featherweight, but it's not like Holly Holm's the small chick. Like, she looked tall against Cyborg. So I'm going to lean towards Holm. I think she just outstrikes Megan for 3 rounds. Because like I said, she's been more active. And I do think she's just the better striker overall. So I got Holly Holm winning by at least a 29-28 decision. Next, we got the co-main event, Rafael dos Anjos versus Colby Covington. I think this is for the interim welterweight belt. And I just think Rafael dos Anjos is going to light this dude up. Like, I think his striking's a lot better. I think his grappling's a lot better. Colby Covington just likes to hold people against the fence and just kind of do that shit. And he'll, like, throw high-volume striking, but he's not a great striker. I think dos Anjos is going to just hit him whenever he wants with his significantly better striking. And I think anytime Colby clinches up with him, Rafael is just either going to go for like a Kimura or guillotine. And Colby's already been submitted once before. Because he likes to clinch like that, it's easy for really good jiu-jitsu guys to hit like guillotines and Kimuras on him. Because he likes to gable grip people. And that's like a perfect setup for either Kimuras and guillotines. And dos Anjos is just too good at his jiu-jitsu. He's eventually going to hit one of those. I think he's either going to win by knockout or submission. And it's probably going to be in the first 2 rounds. And like I said, he's not going to get tired. He's just going to wail on Colby Covington until he wins. Like I said, overall, he's just much better. So I got dos Anjos by first or second round finish. Finally, we got Robert Whittaker versus Yoel Romero. And to me, this fight's going to be exactly like the first fight, except for Whittaker might get a finish. The only reason I feel like that first fight was so close, because in the first minute, Robert Whittaker popped his knee out because Romero landed that side kick on his leg. Robert Whitaker fought 5 rounds on an injured leg, and it was an amazing fight, but it was only amazing because he was fighting on one leg, basically. I feel like we've seen Robert Whitaker is the best middleweight in the world by far. I think that this fight is going to just show that Robert Whitaker is a lot faster, and he's just going to be able to outstrike him for 5 rounds, or he's going to win by knockout. Like, Romero has that type of power where he can win at any moment, but I just think Whitaker's takedown defense and striking is just too high a level, and I think he wins. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.